Microsoft Word, Part 3. In this tutorial, you will learn how to work with images and text wrapping. Now that we have our text broken up into columns, it's time to add in some images to make it have a little more interest and to break up the words a little bit. To add in an image, click on Insert, then Picture. On my desktop, I have folder for Word, and I'm going to put in roasted pepper. As you'll see, when we put in an image, we get a new ribbon of tools here. This is the picture tools. Most of what we're going to do with the image involves some of these picture tools. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the picture style. So as you see, there's a lot of different options, and if you click that, it gives them a different border. Maybe it will cut off some corners to round them out. And these are just different pre-made settings. For this, we're going to use the snip diagonal corner. That gives it a white border, and it clips this corner there like in an old picture album. Then I'm going to change the picture border. I'm going to change the weight to just 1 point. So it gives a really light border. As you see, it cuts it off a little bit. And that's okay. We'll fix that in a second. So if our picture overlaps too much, we have a couple options. We can either resize it or we can crop it. Cropping just cuts off a little bit of the image. To do that, I'll use the crop tool up here. And I'm going to cut off just a little bit on the edge there and just a little bit from the bottom. So you see, it just took off that top part of the picture. It didn't actually change the dimensions or change the sizes of anything. If we want to change the picture size, there's two ways to do that. One is using the little arrows here. And if you want to keep the proportions the same, just hold down Shift as you move it. The big problem with doing that is it doesn't change the resolution of the picture. So if you put in a really large picture, it will still make it a really high resolution, which will make your file really big. And the reason I mention this is because a lot of people have problems with adding in a picture that's so large that their file becomes hard to save, hard to move around. So it's a good idea to actually change the image size. To do that, right-click on the image and then click on Size. Pretty simple. I'm going to change the size here to, let's make the height 1.5. Just a little smaller. In addition, there's other things you can do with the picture. You can rotate it by using this green handle here. I really like that, so I will switch it back. You also have the ability to rotate it in three-dimensional space. But a lot of these can be distracting, so like with so much else, make sure you use it for a reason. Don't just give this strange 3D rotation because you can. Now that we have our picture and we have it the size we want it, we're going to change the way the text wraps around it. So as you can see right now, the text skips right over it, so the picture takes up the whole line. And we may not always want that. So let's try moving it here. We may want the text to come down around the edge here. The way you change that is by clicking on text wrapping. So you can change it to tight, which makes it a little closer to the edge, or square, so it goes around, just right around the picture. Or another easy thing to do is to put it either in front of or behind the text. And the nice advantage here is you can move it all over the place. So before, it locks it to the text, so it has to be one of those columns. If I try and move it in the middle, it works a little bit, but it rotates everything. Changing that to in front of the text lets us move it wherever we want really easily. For right now, I'm just going to leave the image at the bottom of the bell peppers. I'm going to leave the image at the bottom of the types of peppers column. because it fits nicely there. And I'll leave it there for now. And the next video we'll look at our final section, which is adding text boxes and shapes and other items to this document.